Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and here with me I have the entire wave of the brand new LEGO Despicable Me 4 sets from the smallest to the largest. Throughout this video, we'll be doing a full-on mega review of all 4 of the brand new sets, taking a look at all of the exciting new minifigure components, the new builds, and all of the different and unique elements. While all of these sets were provided to me by the LEGO Ambassador Network, the thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are my own, and I'm really excited to get into these because I have a lot to say about these sets, and I can't wait to showcase the brand new LEGO Despicable Me 4 set wave. Let's go. Okay, so here are all 4 of the Despicable Me 4 sets, ranging from small to large. It's a really interesting assortment of sets and different types of minifigures, figure types, new molds, and a good mix of buildable figures, locations, and 2 vehicles, making it a fairly well-rounded wave, albeit a very strange one. The smallest set is 75580 Minions and Banana Car. It retails for $25 US or 25 euros and comes with a ton of minifigures. It actually comes with 4 individual figures there, one of which is sporting 2 brand new molds, so they absolutely are not skimping on the figures here, although because of that, the car itself is pretty small and not super substantial. The next set is 75581. It is the Minions Music Party Bus. This set also comes with around 4 different characters, one of which has a brand new mold, and it retails for $40 US or 40 euros, which to me still feels a little on the steep side, but again, you're getting a lot of different figures and interesting pieces with every single set. Moving on from that, we have what is probably the strangest set of the wave. It is Brickbuilt Gru and his minions. It comes with a Brickbuilt Gru as well as 5 minions, plus a whole mechanism to make them rotate around him, which we'll be taking a look at closer as we take a look at the individual sets themselves. It's a really interesting build, and it somewhat harkens back to the buildable minion that we got back in 2020 for the Minions movie. But it's very, very interesting. It retails for $55 US, and this one I do have a piece count for. 839 pieces, which actually makes this a pretty good deal, all things considered. And finally, that brings us to the largest set of the wave. It is 75583 Minions and Gru's Family Mansion. That set retails for $100 US and comes with 868 pieces. It's this whole build here with a treehouse as well as Grus House, which you can see here. For me, it is still pretty crazy that we're actually getting Despicable Me LEGO sets. Another rival construction toy company had the license to Despicable Me for years, and LEGO really only got it for Minions, so it's really interesting finally actually getting something iconic like Grus House. I kind of wish they would do his car, because I feel like that's another big part of the movie, the car that transforms into a jet. I feel like that would make for a really fun set, but obviously they wanted to focus on what's most important for the movie here, and clearly there are a lot of very interesting things included to really kind of boost the aspect of what they're trying to push with the movie. Now, the reveal of these sets has been very interesting because the inclusion of these Mega Minions has caused Illumination and LEGO's licensing partners to kind of take down any images of all of these Mega Minions that could be posted online. It was LEGO themselves that accidentally posted some images and gave clearance to post them, and it was a whole debacle, but as of the time of this recording, which is early April at the time I'm recording this, I have no idea what the Mega Minions are or why they are so confidential and why every image of them must be stricken from the internet. I can only guess that maybe in the plotline of the movie, the Minions are trying to experiment on themselves, or an experiment is being done to them, kind of like in Despicable Me 3, and they have transformed themselves into more powerful versions. You kind of have superhero-inspired ones, which looks to be the way that they're going with it. You've got a Mr. Fantastic and Miss Marvel-styled one with rubberized arms. You've got a Hulk-sized Minion with these massive muscles on the side, which I think is really funny. You even have a Doctor Strange looking one with a cape. You've got all sorts of really interesting superhero inspired minions. I again have no idea of the plot circumstances. By the time this video comes out, either the movie might be out or at least some more trailers might be out which explains their presence, but as of right now they're just funky looking characters, most of which introduced brand new molds that are just present throughout the sets and currently are being taken down anywhere they pop up on the internet. However, I do want to start off by taking a closer look at the individual sets in general. As with most of my LEGO reviews, I will be providing my thoughts on the playability, displayability, as well as the value of these sets in general, and just talking about whether or not I think these sets are a good deal. These were provided to me for free by the LEGO Ambassador Network, however, all the thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are my own, and I definitely will be sharing my honest opinions, especially when it comes to the price of the smaller sets, but more on that later. Let's start off here on the smallest set though. This is the Minion and Banana Car Set, and this is a really funny one because a banana car is just, I think, an inherently funny concept. I think it's kind of just a nice thing to have as a LEGO toy to play with, but it does actually come with a ton of other stuff as well that I really just want to call attention to, which is fun, but also feels that LEGO to an extent was just trying to come up with a way to justify the €25 and $25 price. Now, I will caveat this by saying that at the time of this recording, the prices are just rumors. While we're pretty sure that the €25 price is accurate, who knows, we might get surprised, and this could be a more reasonable $15 or so in the US, which I really think it should be, but I wouldn't keep my hopes up. It'll be a nice surprise, though, if this video comes out and everyone in the comments will be telling me, oh no, it's actually $10 or $15 as opposed to $25. I will start off, however, with each of the figures, because I think the Minions figures are some of the more interesting constructions that we've gotten from LEGO in a while. Most of the minifigures are basically just the same exact ones that we got for the Minions movie. If you don't know how these work, they have these special dual molded pieces which allow you to stick these in. It literally is just using standard minifigure hands on these special Technic element limbs, and then the heads themselves are just attached like so. It's really interesting that these pieces are not license locked because we did actually get a recolored dark blue version of them in the newest train from LEGO Ideas, but this one is really fun because it's a Minion in a racing suit that has the Gru logo on it. I think it's pretty cute. They have an assortment of different accessories and weapons, and this one is just a nice little pilot for your car there. The next Minion is a similar one. Let me just try and get this guy back in the car. I think he's just got to hold the banana a certain way to make that happen. But this is an interesting one because this Minion seems to be either running some experiments on himself or something's going on with him, but the idea is that you remove his hair and then you can place this propeller on his head to make him fly, and as he's flying, you can take these goggles, which are a new print, and you just remove his eyes, and you can place the goggles on the eyes instead to really make him look a little bit different compared to his brethren. I think that's a really fun aspect of these sets that kind of have you upgrade the Minions, so to speak, in terms of adding on different gadgets to them. Having a propeller on his head is really funny, but again, it is really the only set that does something like this, so it's a nice little gimmick, but nothing super crazy. I do like how they are trying to mix up, especially in this set, the different types of Minions that you get. One of them is wearing a red outfit, one of them is wearing dark blue, and then we have one that's kind of a standard Minion that looks to be dabbling in a career of painting. Perhaps this one has become a little bit more intelligent and he's trying to paint a portrait of a banana there, which I think is really funny. And this one is kind of just in the standard outfit. I've given him the propeller for now just because it just gives it a place to sit. But the real star of the show here is this Mega Minion. Now, a lot of people were wondering what this is when they first saw them. The way I see it, they're kind of like luchador masks where the mouth is peeking out with the regular skin tone of the plain yellow, but the rest of the body, like they're wearing a Keyed Orange or Flame Yellowish Orange outfit there, so I think it's really funny. Now, this is a wacky mold, and it's crazy to me that they just came up with a brand new mold that literally only comes in this set, and I mean, it's so specialized, I cannot imagine LEGO will really ever put this in another set, so it's really interesting. It's this kind of egg-shaped body for the Minion. Personally, I'm very excited to see if people, especially if mockus out there, are able to come up with a useful usage for this piece. It is very specialized because it has the Minion outfit on it, so personally, I would struggle to find usages for it, but you know, some people are absolute wizards. I'm sure someone can find some use for a strange cone-shaped thing here, and maybe you could just cover up the rest and use this as some sort of an interesting piece. I don't know, there's something that you can do with it, but it's a very interesting mold, and obviously the head is a special dual mold as well, with the black and flame yellowish orange, and this one is really lifting weights because this one is hitting the gym. He has somehow become more powerful, and that's the whole gimmick to the set. The other gimmick is that you can remove the engine from the car and you can have the Mega Minion
also be lifting it up, so he's kind of lifting it like he's lifting weights. I have no idea if these Mega Minions are friend or foe, but one thing that is interesting to note is that no villains or adversaries actually appear in any of these sets. They all just focus on the minions and Gru, so maybe he is a villain. Moving onwards, we can take a look at the car itself, though. It's alright, it feels almost like a Mario Kart style thing, which is not a bad thing. I think it's really fun. The car, though, is probably a $10 set at best, and that's really where my big complaint with the prices for, honestly, this entire wave comes in. Yes, the minifigures are expensive, and they do include a lot of them. They're all dual molded, and they all come with really interesting pieces. But at the end of the day, this feels like a $10 set with 4 really fancy figures, and again, they're Minion figures, they're not even standard minifigures, so maybe people might not even be that interested in them. And I'm just really not seeing the value for $25. I personally would say wait for a sale. This feels very fair to me at $15. If they just didn't include one of the Minions, I'm sure they could have sold it at $15, but it comes with 4 figures in a $25 set, but the build is pretty small, and while I do like the build, it is a really nice one. It does utilize some of the new pieces introduced just for January of this year, which I did call out in my top 10 most useful January pieces, these guys right here. The rest of the build is honestly not super interesting, especially not to warrant $25. That's all I have to say for this set, though, so now we can move on to the rest of the assortment, and we'll just keep moving our way up to the next set, which is the Minions Dance Party Bus. Now, this set to me is really interesting, because this one, I think, feels the most like maybe a LEGO City set or a LEGO Friends set that has kind of been transplanted over to this theme. Unfortunately, because of that, it is very boxy. Again, maybe the vehicle in-universe and in the movie does look like this and is just a big rectangle, but all in all, this is just very, very rectangular, and for $40, I'm just really not feeling it. My hands aren't that big, like this kind of just sits in my hands, and it's about the size of my hand. For $40, also feels really, really steep, and there's a lot of reasons why, but one of the big reasons is that this does also include a brand new Minion. This is also one of the first inclusions of just a working QR code in a LEGO set, which is very weird to have a sticker to apply there. This leads to some games that you can play on the LEGO Life app, but I actually really like this character. He's got kind of like a Doctor Strange or Superman style of cape going on. I would say more Doctor Strange because it kind of has the back part lifting up, and this is such an interesting piece. Again, they have made a very specialized piece just for this character, where you have the cape attached as part of the head. He is wearing that kind of a mask there where you can see the mouth underneath. It's just a really interesting figure. I just don't really know where else LEGO can use it, but I guess that is a big marketing push for this particular movie, is having the Minions have evolved in some sort of a way, so they had to include at least one Mega Minion in the minifigures focus sets. Now, the cool thing about the bus is that this actually does fully open up, so the way this works is that you're attached on clips, you can open up the doors, and like so, the entire party bus will unfurl to allow the Minions to have a dance party. This is a very cute feature. It's a feature we've seen a million times before in other LEGO sets, but I do just want to call it out as at least having something more interesting than just having the top come off. I do like how you can kind of open these up. The rest of the figures are not super interesting. This Minion, for instance, is using the new collectible minifigures Space Series antenna here, which I think is a very nice touch that they were able to factor that in. So that's pretty fun to see there. But overall, this is just one of the other standard LEGO Minions sets. Nothing super interesting to see here other than you've got the nice antennas on the top, which are nice new pieces. We get them recolored in 2 different colors here. But then the rest of the Minions are pretty much just your standard fare Minion. Nice little stickers on the side here, but now I just really wish that we actually got these Minions. Like, I kind of wanted to get the Minion with the red mohawk or one of these other ones. Obviously the one with the hat is sort of like the one that we got in the other set, but I think it would be really funny to get the Minion with the hair as the singer, but sadly they are relegated to just stickers, and as far as the rest of the bus, it's just fairly standard. Again, feels pretty basic, pretty simple for $40. Again, 40 euros, $40. The US dollar price is still a rumor, but it is confirmed to be 40 euros. Yeah, I'm not really feeling it. This feels like a $30 set at best, and again, there is a licensing tax, there is the cost of the figures, but it just feels a little too expensive for me. Again, would wait for a sale on this one because really all you get in this entire set is just the bus. But moving on from that, though, we can take a look at a set that actually is shockingly good value, and that's this guy right here. So this is officially titled Brickbuilt Gru and his Minions, and the way it works is that you can spin the minion on the side, and you can actually see all of the different minions rotating around him, which is actually a really interesting and clever mechanism. I really like how they were able to anchor Gru down to the center, but have the minions going around him. I have no idea what the context behind this is, like maybe they're having a dance party, or maybe this is just like some interesting display piece. It certainly is one of the most eclectic LEGO Minion sets, or really LEGO sets they've ever done. And as a fan of construction, as a fan of Bionicle and buildable LEGO action figures, I definitely have a lot of thoughts on how this is done. I feel like whenever LEGO does a brick-built character or buildable character, you kind of hit or miss between the very uncanny and the, hey, that's actually pretty good. Unfortunately, I think that this one kind of falls in the very uncanny territory, and your mileage may vary. It's not as creepy looking as some other ones we've gotten, like Chewbacca, and arguably some other characters that we've gotten in the past have been a little bit wackier and a little bit weirder, but I don't know. This is a little funky to me, but that being said, at the same time, I like to think that I would know how to make custom sculpted heads and faces and stuff like that, and I do not know how I would have done it any differently. The Borak eyepiece from Bionicle as the nose is actually a really good fit. It just feels a little out of place with the shaping of the head. They've done their best to include specialized printed elements. You have two different new printed 1x1 flat tiles with the eyes on them. You have two different printed on the side 1x1 plates with the eyebrows, and you have this mouth here, which is printed on a slope. But because of that, it ends up feeling a little bit weird to me. It feels very uncanny in the way it's done. From some angles, it's better. Like, I think from this angle, it's kind of okay. And especially when you can see just the silhouette of Gru, which is very iconic, kind of the bent down silhouette. I think, like, this is fine, but when you look at him head on, it's very obvious that the eyes are just flat and completely straight facing forwards. I don't know. It's just kind of wacky to me. I feel like they could have done maybe something a little different. I don't think they should have done a new mold, but something, you know, something that made it a little bit more interesting. However, that being said, I do feel like the rest of the body is well done. You have fairly posable arms, you have them mounted on the Mixel mini ball joints, you've got articulated fingers, really nice to get the Exoforce Bad Robot claw piece in tan. I'm sure that's, or in Nougat, the skin color, which I'm sure is going to be really great. Unfortunately, no leg articulation because he is basically just a statue, so you can't really do much with him, but he is just this kind of posable figure that you can get, and I'm sure that for kids, the real highlight will not in fact be the Brickbuilt Gru, who's kind of freaky looking, but instead, the Brickbuilt Minions, because while Gru might be a little bit uncanny, the good thing about Minions is that they're pretty easy to build and that they're basically just like Tic Tacs, so I feel like it actually worked out really well. I think my favorite Minion build is this one sitting right here. He's just so adorable, just sitting down with the feet splayed. I really do like the way that they've done this one, and I do think all the different types are fun. Like this one, for instance, is wearing like kind of this like coconut style of outfit, and it's kind of a tiki styled one, and you can even shake the body back and forth, which is so funny. But overall, I do like the overall composition of a lot of these. The most interesting thing to me is getting a recolor of the Lego Elves crystal piece in black, which I thought was long discontinued, but very happy to see that. Overall, though, an interesting lineup of characters, and you can remove them. They are fully removable from the bases, so if you want to kind of move them around, you can play around with them like so. I'm just not really sure who the target market for this is. The good thing, though, is that this set is $55, which means that it is actually pretty good value for what you get, and really they were able to do this because it doesn't have any of the Minions minifigures in them, meaning that all of the costs could be dedicated to just bricks, which it was. It's a fun set, it's kind of wacky, but this is my kind of thing when it comes to a weird LEGO set. I really gravitate towards wacky stuff like this, so I'm actually kind of a fan of this set, but I definitely know your mileage may vary, and I do feel that that head is very, very uncanny. Moving onwards though, it's time we take a look at the main attraction, really the reason why a lot of people were really excited about the Despicable Me wave, because we finally are getting Grus House as an official LEGO set, which is actually really, really cool. I'm actually going to start off by looking at the build first, and we'll take a look at the minifigures last, because the Gru minifigures definitely want to have some thoughts on, and we'll start off with the smaller piece, which is the treehouse here. The treehouse is fine. I don't think we needed it. I feel like we could have gotten a very good $60 Grus House set that was like just this, but I guess they had to build it to a certain price point, and it's okay. I do like the inclusion of the new LEGO Friends leaf elements. That is a really good one to get. You have a bit of a zip line here, so you can have your characters go down the zip line, which is nice to see. Some Tiki-style heads there, which are really fun. And then on the back here, it's just very empty, nothing going on the back. I at first thought there would be something, like some interior or something to see inside of the tree, but honestly, what you see is what you get. It feels like a very standard build, something that you would see out of like LEGO Elves or LEGO Friends or even like LEGO Disney, this style of build. Nothing wrong with that and nothing against it, but it just isn't really doing anything super interesting. The much more interesting thing, though, at least for me, is the iconic Grus House, and I'm gonna definitely try to find a way to incorporate this in my LEGO City if I can, because it's just a really funny looking one. I feel like it is definitely a very iconic part of the Despicable Me franchise, and you can see a nice little sticker of a Minion looking through the window there, and the architecture is done really well. It's very, very basic. You just have these triangular pieces, and then you have these plates that go along each side. Super, super simple, but I do like it for what it is, and on the back here, you can actually see some of the details. It actually is jam-packed full of details. One of my favorite aspects of it is the actual rocket-shaped bed there, which of course is very classic to the movies themselves. I do like the inclusion of the unicorn as a sticker, but I am a little bit confused as to why we did not get this as a mold. Like, I feel like if you're gonna give new molds to the Minions franchise, like, make the unicorn a mold, because that would be such an adorable piece. But unfortunately, it is relegated to just a sticker. Moving onwards to the other side, though, you've got some of the axes, you have the evil throne type of shape thing that you can see on the top floor. And of course, the entire point is that you can go downwards, so obviously they had to play around with the scale a little bit here to make the underground lab part of it, but I do like how you actually have these segments that rotate around. You even have a toilet with toilet paper on the side there, which is very funny to see. You have what I believe is supposed to be the fart gun there, so that's a nice inclusion for the Minions to utilize. You've got a water cooler, and just all sorts of really interesting accessories that you can have rotating on these pillars. And I do also like the inclusion of these technological panels by using the paint roller piece. It's just a nice little parts pack. Overall, for the interior being as hollow and shallow as it is, I really do appreciate how they have managed to cram literally every single open space with something. Like, you even have a portrait, the family portrait up there of all the characters. Speaking of which, where is Gru's dog? I feel like that's another character that really should have come in this set, but yeah, you've got a portrait of the family up there, you've got the light, you've got the sofa. You just have a lot of really fun stuff to see overall with this entire build, and I like it. It's kind of like the Up House to me, which was very, very narrow. It was it was even narrower than this, but they were able to pack in a lot of details. But this is a nice build. For $100 though, we'll get there. We'll get there as to what I think about the value of this, but again, do remember that this is $100. Now, the most interesting thing to me here, however, are the minifigures. And we're going to start off with Gru and his family, because I feel like those are the most important ones to start off with. Gru himself has actually, he has a baby in the new film, so you can see what Gru's infant looks like here. It's a nice little recolor of the baby mold. Now, here's the thing about Gru. I think that this is a very, very accurate minifigure, minus the nose. I'm kind of shocked they did not use the new Pinocchio piece that they literally introduced just last year. It was the Pinocchio nose sticking out of the minifigure and would have been literally perfect for Gru. Maybe it could have used a little bit more of a crook, or maybe like more of a kind of hook nose type of thing, but I would have totally been fine with that. But instead they just didn't do the nose at all, and they have him completely noseless, which is kind of similar to what they did for the Minions prequel movie, and I don't know, I feel like he's missing something, you know? I don't see this figure, and I don't think Gru. I think part of it is because he doesn't have the stripes on his scarf, which obviously LEGO can't really print on the scarf piece, so that's a little bit more excusable, but I feel like the nose is such a defining aspect of his character design that it is very unfortunate they did not include it. It's alright, and it is nice to get a Gru LEGO minifigure. I just feel like they could have done a little bit better, especially because clearly they're totally fine with making wacky new molds for this series. Like, you've got 2 new molds here, you've got 1 new mold here, you even have new molds introduced in this set, but to not do it for Gru is a little bit strange. It's alright, I just really wish he had the nose. It is nice, however, that the set does include the rest of Gru's family, and all of them are sporting brand new prints for the heads as well as the torsos, which is really nice, and they definitely went above and beyond when it came to depicting the characters. Since none of these other characters have crazy noses, I feel like the depiction is actually really good for them, especially for the kids. This is a brand new dual molded piece they introduced just for this character, and I feel like that works so well for the character itself. When I look at this, I can immediately see the character in the movie, which is really hard when you're actually depicting something that is a cartoon character, so kudos to LEGO for pulling that off. Every single one of the kids are really good. I feel like they could have done mid-legs for this one. Like, I feel like she could have used mid-legs, but I guess they're all, like, younger kids, so it totally works, and I do like how they all have these alternate expressions. Again, all of these were made just for this set, which is really, really impressive. Of course, you have the most adorable one of all, with the sad expression on the back, and I'm a big fan of the way they were depicting these figures. No complaints for the rest of the family, just where's the dog, and where's Gru's nose? However, to me, the much more interesting parts of the set come with the Mega Minions. So, I don't even know what to say about this. So this is like one of the Mega Minions, and it's kind of whack looking to me. I don't know. The texture makes me feel a little uncomfortable. I don't know. It's like a little bit of a strange character. They have made yet another brand new mold just for this. He's almost like a pruned raisin or a grape or something like that. But this is like the weightlifter, another big weightlifter one. So we've gotten like two really swole minions, and this one looks like he's hulked out. You even have a new print for the eyebrows showing the muscles in the eyebrow, which is very funny. I can't tell if that's supposed to be muscle or rock. Like, maybe this is supposed to be like the Thing from Fantastic Four, because you also have another Fantastic Four-like character. So maybe that's the intent behind this one, but regardless of what it looks like in the movie, this is a crazy character, and I find it wild that LEGO just made two new molds for this. The budget for Minions must have been absolutely insane for them to be able to create so many new molds, but here you can see one of the characters right here. This is one of the other ones. It's probably the least interesting one because it's just a regular minion with kind of laser eyes, so you can see him with the extension right there. But the most interesting one to me is this one right here. So this is a rubberized minifigure, and I feel like this is super interesting because it opens the door for LEGO to do a lot of interesting things in the future. Obviously, the new Fantastic Four movie is coming out, and I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for LEGO to just use these pieces to make a Fantastic Four figure. Now you might be wondering, how exactly does this work? Well, this is literally just a pneumatic hose piece. This is not a new piece. The tube is just a pneumatic piece, and the way it works is they've introduced this piece right here, which is one of the most interesting new pieces that have come out of LEGO. Let me see if I can actually get it on the flat surface here so we can really just zoom in and see how interesting this is. So what this is it's a minifigure hand, but it's got a flex tube attachment point at the end of it, and that allows you to plug it into flex tubes and use it as an actual hand. That is probably the most specialized, but also arguably the most interesting piece that LEGO's made in a long time. As you can see, it literally is just a piece of flex tube with the hands attached, and they act as stoppers for the hands themselves. It's so interesting how they got this done. Now, the one thing that I think would prevent them from doing this for something like Mr. Fantastic or Miss Marvel is that they were able to do this here because the Minion's body is just a Technic hole. Like, this is just a Technic hole poking through the entire body, so they could get away with doing a flex tube. If they did it for a regular minifigure, that would mean they would actually also have to create a brand new mold for the torso, which would allow you to attach Technic pieces to a minifig torso, which I don't know if LEGO is willing to do that. I don't even know if the tolerances, like, minifigures are much slimmer than these figures, so maybe, I don't even think the tolerances would work. So maybe LEGO couldn't do this for Mr. Fantastic, but it would be very interesting. Obviously, they have done rubberized minifigure limbs in the past. They did it for Miss Marvel when we first got her. They did it for Elastigirl as well from The Incredibles. So they have done it in the past, but those pieces are now discontinued. I'm just really curious to see if LEGO will attempt it in the future, but this is a really funky way to do it. You can cause it to have one arm on one side and have the entire other arm be fully elastic, snaking around. And I do also really like the just dedication to making it seem like his head is stretching upwards as well, just coming in all different components. It's very, very wacky. It's a very interesting design, but it easily is one of the most interesting things in the set itself. And clearly, a good amount of development budget went into making the Mega Minions. Overall, though, this set to me is like $70 on a good day. Again, it is really, really narrow, and while they did pack in a lot of detail, it is very, very narrow. It is just a facade, and for $100, I almost wish that they did away with the treehouse and instead just took the parts budget and fleshed out Grus House. That being said, I do understand how marketing works and how LEGO sets work, and obviously I can see why they didn't do that. They wanted to have a little bit more variety in the way the set was set up. They wanted to allow it to be more interesting on the box art than just this gray and black house. You also have this very vibrant and colorful treehouse next to it. I understand why LEGO did it, but again, I just kind of wish that it was a little bit more substantial as Grus House. But overall, this is certainly one of the most interesting new set waves that we've gotten from LEGO in a long time. I always like it when LEGO does strange licenses like this because we'll get some weird molds that we might never see again. LEGO Trolls World Tour did something similar where we got a host of crazy new figure molds and we just never saw them again. So it is interesting how much effort LEGO has put into the Despicable Me franchise. Minions obviously sell well. They wouldn't be around if they didn't, so I'm sure that kids will really love these sets, and I'm sure that people will really like them, especially in the younger age demographic, but I am curious to see how well these do, and if they ever do more stuff in the Despicable Me movie franchise, like make a 5th movie or something like that, will LEGO continue to do that in the future? We'll have to see, but that about sums up my thoughts on the entirety of the Despicable Me 4 LEGO Movie Wave. This was a pretty in-depth mega review, as is usually the case here on Duckbricks, and I hope you did enjoy getting an in-depth look at every single one of the sets. Unfortunately, my stance is the same, that all of them are kind of way too overpriced, except for that one, and that one's also pretty niche. Like, it's not for everyone. I can definitely see that many people might not want to get something like this, so the minifigure base sets are just a little too expensive. Yeah, the figures are really specialized, and I count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new molds? I think that's 6 new figure molds. Could be even more if I'm remembering correctly. So a lot of budget went into making the characters here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 new figure molds. So lots of really interesting stuff went into this theme. It is certainly one of the most interesting ones to get out of LEGO, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the Despicable Me 4 LEGO movie sets. That's all for now. Hope you enjoyed this mega review.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up my look at the 4 LEGO Despicable Me 4 sets. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of them, especially what do you think about those crazy new figure pieces? Really interesting to get all sorts of wacky new molds for this one-off theme, but hey, I am all for weird LEGO licenses and wacky minifigs, so I'm a fan of them. I just feel like a lot of them are a little bit too overpriced. That's all for now. Thank you so much for tuning into Duckbricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming away very soon, and bye for now.